It's homemade, the ice cream seller claims, with real vanilla. But inspections reveal what's really in it.
The flavoring's usually synthetic.
Do flavors just come from labs these days? There are 2,500 flavor additives. Hardly anyone knows how they're made.
They're made from petroleum or from tree resin.
Flavors made from wood, produced in huge chemical factories. It's a global business worth billions.
Volume will increase about 5 to 10% every year.
Many of our foods are full of chemistry. Ready meals in particular are high-tech and often contain flavorings. Even simple tomato ketchup isn't immune. Almost all flavored teas contain artificial flavors. Birgit Rehländer is the project head for food inspections at Germany's consumer protection organization Stiftung Warentest. She regularly discovers that ready meals don't always contain what they say they do, regardless of whether they come from the supermarket freezer shelf or out of a bag.
This potato snack declares flavorings. That means if you were to do it yourself, you'd do it really differently. The consumer's overwhelmed with flavorings here.
Ready meals, fruit juices, cereals, almost everything has added flavorings.
This product with honey has added flavorings, despite honey already having an intense flavor. It's hard to resist. This tomato ketchup's made up of dried tomatoes, which are very intense, but they're supported by flavorings too.
Stiftung Warentest has a suspicion that expensive ingredients are often replaced by cheaper flavorings. Customers are left in the dark. The packaging often only states flavorings or natural flavorings.
Thanks to certain products, consumers get used to intense flavors. When they don't get them, they think they're missing something. They feel other products are dull, even though they contain authentic flavors. And I find that worrying.
How do the different flavorings get into the products? We asked several food manufacturers, but they didn't want to comment. The German Federation for Food Law and Food Science in Berlin tries to explain.
Manufacturers are in competition. If they were to show their production methods, they'd reveal their company secrets. I could imagine it has something to do with that.
How large are the quantities that are processed or imported from other countries? There are no official statistics.
As a result, we can't publish any information about how many tons are used in Germany.
None of the major manufacturers of flavourings in Germany let us film them. Only one medium-sized enterprise will give us some insight. That's the Vögele company in Laufen near Stuttgart. Bertram Vögele is the fourth generation in his family to run the business. All the flavourings here are made from natural products. They're used in organic foods too. The flavourings are extracted from herbs and fruits in large vats. Experts, known as flavourists, experiment on new flavour creations in the lab. Vögele's main clients are drinks companies. Today, real fruit juices and fruit aromas are being used to produce a new mix for a summer drink.
The composition currently contains lime and grapefruit. The whole thing's rounded off with a bit of rum, and then there's lemon juice concentrate to add some zing. The drink's still maturing. So quickly after mixing it, we can only determine the general direction. We'll have a more settled product tomorrow. It'll be more harmonious, softer and milder. But it's not bad for a first attempt. This version contains the colouring. We'll have to check whether customers want extra colour, in which case we'd have to declare it.
Many different additives result in a product that's supposed ultimately to taste of grapefruit and lime. The drinks manufacturer chooses whether to use natural or synthetic substances from the chemical factory. There are currently 2,500 industrially processed flavourings. The warehouse stocks a large supply of herbs, spices and dried fruits from all around the world. These elderflowers are used to create a natural elder flavour. The flowers are immersed in highly concentrated alcohol to extract and preserve the flavours.
We work in a very traditional manner here, without machines or temperature pressure, so the extraction takes 3 weeks.
The flavourings produced here will later have to be declared on the packaging by the food manufacturers. If 95% of a flavouring consists of the ingredient that gives it the flavour, such as elderflower, then it's a natural elder flavouring. If a flavouring is produced from ingredients of any plant or animal-based origin, then it's just a natural flavouring. If a flavouring is produced purely synthetically using chemicals, then it's merely listed as a flavouring. In the Vögele Company lab, these often purely chemical substances are mainly used in products for the drinks and confectionery industry. Bertram Vögele tests a new pear flavour for hard candies. The customer from Africa said it mustn't cost a lot. That's why it contains no natural flavourings, but 25 different, much cheaper chemicals.
There are also customers who have very strict requirements. Sometimes they have restricted lists that we have to adhere to regarding what substances we're allowed to use and which ones not. We decide case by case whether the plants, herbs or fruits have a strong enough extract to deliver a good flavour or whether we need support from synthetic flavourings.
The most commonly used flavouring in the world is vanillin. Bertram Vögele mainly obtains it from China. It's used as a flavouring for baked goods, sweets, liqueurs and baby food. A few grams of vanillin suffice for large quantities of food because it has a very intense flavour. The whole world's greedy for it. Its flavour and smell are considered to boost sales. The global market in vanillin is 16,000 tonnes per year, as opposed to just 50 tonnes of real vanilla pods.
The global annual production of natural vanilla in no way covers the global annual demand for the flavour, so that just on that basis it's necessary to use synthetic vanillin.
But it also tempts the food industry to cheat. Bernd Stumm, a food inspector in Cologne, could talk for hours on the subject. Ice cream parlours in particular can be a bit economical with the truth. Bernd Stumm wants to take a look behind the scenes. He wants to know how they make their ice cream. How do they make their vanilla ice cream, for example? Do they use real vanilla or synthetic flavouring?
Richtig mit Vanille oder mit Paste oder... Okay, Moment.
Real vanilla costs 30 times as much as the artificial version.
Today we're looking at how the ice cream's labelled and what ingredients are being used. But to do that we need the manufacturer. The people who are selling it won't know the answers.
Overalls on and into the kitchen, which is called the lab in ice cream parlours. Milk is being heated for new ice cream.
Das ist jetzt Vanilleeis, ne?
This is vanilla. The lady points out the black dots, indicating that it's real vanilla. But the black dots from the pod are more for looks. The flavour is largely produced from factory products, as Inspector Bernd finds out after further questions. What's in this tin?
Does it say in German anywhere, or is it all in Italian?
The list of ingredients states aroma, meaning there's no real vanilla.
Flavor vanilla aroma.
It's a ready mix. The flavour is the result of synthetic flavourings. That means the menu must list the ice cream as ice cream with vanilla flavour.
We have vanilla flavors in paste form, but it also contains coloring. It's dyed. This paste is used to give the ice cream its vanilla flavor.
Ice cream ingredients from a factory with artificial flavours. That's not forbidden. However, customers must be clearly informed, but they aren't.
It should say ice cream with vanilla flavor.
It's more appearance than substance, the colourful world of our industrial foods. There's no real vanilla here. Bernd wants detailed information in the second ice cream parlour too. How is the ice cream made? Again, he's shown a bucket with a ready-made paste containing inexpensive artificial flavourings. Why don't you make it yourself?
I think it tastes better. I prefer it.
Cheating the customer.
Customers believe they're getting real vanilla. They think they get real vanilla, but there are very few who give you that.
Vanilla ice cream without real vanilla. More than half of all inspections flag up problems. Most synthetic flavourings come from China. Huai'an has a population of 5 million. It's between Beijing and Shanghai. The region's a stronghold of the chemical industry. That puts a great toll on the environment. The Wangchang factory supplies raw materials for the flavour manufacturers. 700 employees use petroleum to produce the basic substances for many hundreds of aromas in cosmetics, perfumes and foods out of crude oil. The company is among the biggest manufacturers of synthetic peppermint flavours used in chewing gums around the world. Director Lu Ning lets us take a tour of the factory. In the Department for Product Development, flavour molecules are separated from the crude oil. They'll later end up in German ice cream parlours as milk flavoured.
They are testing for milk. The testing is a little weak, but if you to add some flavor or milk, then it's more stronger for the testing for milk. So this is a function to increase the testing of milk.
A drop's enough to make countless litres of cake dough, ice cream and cheese taste like real milk. Flavour production takes place in huge reactors. Chemical and physical processes in which the petroleum is split and processed take place in these closed vats. The reception area displays product samples that contain aromas and flavourings. The market's huge.
Most of the people the product they use is for synthetic, because synthetic is easy to get and the price is cheaper and can be widely used for different kinds of product. And our market is for global. So our major customer is the top 10, the flavor and fragrance compounding, and some end consumer. all over the world.
China's the global market leader for artificial aromas and flavourings. New substances are constantly being developed in the lab. Manufacturers in Germany can use them to develop their own flavour creations. Timber harvest in Norway. A conifer is cut down every 20 seconds. What does that have to do with food flavours? These tree trunks have been bought by a chemical factory in the south of the country. It'll use this wood to manufacture vanillin for ice creams and cakes. How's that possible? Bertram Føgeler's on his way to the chemical company in Sarpsborg in Norway. He's always on the lookout for new ideas and suppliers who've developed unusual solutions. Vanillin, made out of wood, a renewable resource, that's particularly interesting for him. Jorgen Björkenes receives the visitor and potential customer. He wants to show him the refinery.
We have a number of what we call factories. It's a knowledge factory where we take in young apprentices.
The company, Beauregard, is a global player in the flavour industry.
It's a big factory, 3 kilometers.
In the visitor area, the sales manager shows his potential client from Germany the vanillin made from wood.
The aroma, when you compare it to the market standard, which is made from oil, it has a slightly rounder and slightly also more powerful intensity.
Just 250 grams are enough for 1,000 kilograms of vanilla ice cream. This is how it's made. A component of wood, lignin, is extracted from these chips.
Where we are concerned about our future and the environment that we can. Now, the interesting part, I think, is the lignin and the sugars in the wood go through a separate stream. Then we ferment the sugars to ethanol, which we can use for fuel for cars, for instance, bioethanol. But a small stream also goes here to the vanillin factory. The lignosulfonate is subjected to a chemical process, a cracking, and then we get the vanillin molecule, which is the same as you get from the vanillin orchid, but we get it from the wood. So out of 1,000 kilos of wood, we get 3 kilos of the vanillin. And in the end, it comes out as a nice white powder, 99.9% pure vanillin.
This is a nice example of how a natural resource, wood, ends up as an artificial aroma. The background's not always chemical. Natural resources also get used.
The demand of the Beauregard refinery is huge. Timber suppliers log huge areas in southern Norway to meet this demand. Spruce trunks have their bark removed before the timber is hacked into chips in a large hall. This is the raw material for biofuel, paper and vanillin too. Although wood is the starting material for the vanillin from Sarpsborg, there's a chemical factory between the raw material and the flavouring that's ultimately used in foodstuffs. Several different chemicals are used at high temperatures to extract the molecules with the vanilla flavour.
Yeah, to a certain extent we have to. I would love to call this a natural flavour. This would be this. Oh, we wish we could call it natural flavour, but we have a natural raw material. But the way we produce it, it has certain temperature and a certain pressure, which puts us outside what can be called as natural.
No. They pack around 3 tons per day.
Once crystallised and bleached, the vanillin sold as a powder, indistinguishable from the oil product. It's hard to determine later on what vanillin is made of what, or indeed whether flavourings or real spices were used. Germany only has a handful of analytic labs with the specialist knowledge. Consumer protection organisations, such as Stiftung Warentest, regularly take extensive samples to catch those trying to trick the system in the food industry.
20 years ago, analysing the flavouring was more the exception than the rule in our tests. Today, it's a routine component. I know of virtually no product group where flavourings aren't used. That's why we do these tests, and unfortunately, we always find something. There are breaches of the regulations, and they're not just one-off.
The product testers meticulously pursue every kind of labelling swindle when the packaging promises more than what the product contains. Depictions like this of expensive fruit ingredients on the front of packaging worry her.
This only contains natural flavouring. That's where the blackberry flavour comes from, and the sugar makes it sweet. But there are no blackberries in here.
These flavour tricks aren't used here in the Gasthof Paulus restaurant in Germany's Saarland region. Sigrune Essenpreis and Thomas Nichols prove that it can be done differently too. For more than 20 years now, their food has been free from industrial aids and powders. The sauce is made with herbs and flowers from their own garden. That's where the flavour comes from.
Ich habe Möhrenkerpel mitgebracht. Hast du gesehen? Ich habe das an den Platz gestellt.
When the trained nutritionist got involved in her in-laws' restaurant, she turned everything around. The vanilla ice cream here is made of real vanilla pods from Tahiti. They cost €240 per kilogram. The unused parts of the pods aren't thrown away because they still smell of vanilla.
We put the pods in a bucket of sugar and close it. The sugar takes on the aromas, and that's how we make our vanilla sugar.
You flavour your own products?
Yes, of course, but not with artificial substances. We use natural product that we can deploy in many ways.
There are flowers in the kitchen, not for decoration, but for the dessert. Heliotrope, for example, the vanilla flower. Sigrune Essenpreis believes that artificial flavours destroy our sense of taste.
Most people don't know what's real anymore. But when they taste it, they know it's the real thing. We're really pleased that we're managing to bring people back to what's original.
The organic orange peels are used to flavour desserts too. She acts out of the conviction that too many chemicals in our food can make us all sick.
Thanks to my college degree, I know that sodium glutamate in these quantities, like these artificial flavours and dyes, can lead to health problems.
Flavour manufacturer Bertram Vögele hears this criticism time and again. But he points out that all the substances and chemicals he uses are approved by EFSA, the European Food Safety Authority. Since 2012, it's kept a list of all the approved aromas and flavourings, 2,500 so far.
The EU's list contains all the flavourings and aromas, including restrictions on dosages, that can be used safely in foods. If there's any doubt about the safety of these substances, they're taken off the list. We adhere to this list, like all the companies in our industry, so that we can assume that all the products we make are safe.
400 flavouring agents are currently being checked by EFSA. Some of them are controversial because of potential health risks, such as allergies and cancer. The final studies aren't in yet. In addition, it's not always possible to determine where the substances ultimately come from.
It's not easy to trace the substance back to a Chinese production site. Our official food monitoring authority, which traces these products in Germany, has to stop at the border and can't go any further.
Critics, such as Sigrune Essenpreis, are worried that artificial flavours will cause our natural sense of taste to disappear one day. To train this sense of taste, she offers guided tours through her own herb and vegetable garden. This is where the majority of the ingredients for her restaurant come from. Everyone's allowed to touch and taste.
My aim with these guided tours and with the food we make is to resensitize people to their sense of smell. They should smell foods again and distinguish between different aromas instead of relying on the big whoosh.
But supermarkets are stocking more and more products with artificial flavours, products that pretend to have ingredients they don't. Only those who study the labels in detail can avoid the flavouring tricks used by the food industry.